Hi, good evening. Welcome to another live program, Revelation TV and Genesis TV viewers. Welcome to tonight's program. Monday evening and a special. You don't normally see me on a Monday evening. Why am I here tonight? You'll have to ask God that. And whilst you're asking and seeking God, just remember now is the time for revelation. Time to get to know God before it's too late. You know, many things are happening in the world, and I would like to say, to encourage you not to get depressed, because the things that you look at, maybe your finances are being affected, maybe it's things in your health, maybe it's things with your job and your career, maybe you work for a bank, and even that is something quite scary these days. But the thing is, if you put your trust in earthling things, they will perish, they will fade away. Somebody might even steal them. Jesus spoke about this, and he said really to put your treasures in heaven. How do you put your treasure in heaven, you might say? Well, stay tuned tonight, because I have a very special guest who's, I can see by just looking at the lady that's opposite me, got lots of things on the desk in front of her. Have a look. Let me introduce you to Juanita Bynum. Dr. Juanita Bynum. Prophetess Juanita Bynum. Thank you so much. And evangelist. I can see
all
by
of it.
All of it. Teacher tonight, no doubt.
Yes, all of it. It fits. And so does just Juanita. That works too.
Oh, I love it. Just Juanita. That's easy for me, because I'm dyslexic.
Please, Howard, just call me Juanita.
Doctor is too long for me.
I know it. I know. I feel the same way.
Well, Monday evening, it is 7th of April. What are you doing in the United Kingdom?
Actually, I've been on such a powerful tour here in Europe. This was a time that we designated to come for the great outpouring, and it has been absolutely positively that. We have just had such a tremendous outpouring in the services prior, Pastor Shadrach and Dr. Shadrach, and we were there for 2 or 3 days in the auditorium there, and the crowds were there. It was just an awesome move of God, because I believe that God is really doing something awesome in Europe. And I told Stuart before I came, I said, I'm not one of these people that are just coming to Europe because I feel like, we just coming over here because people don't know. But I believe God called me to come for such a time as this. The Bible said that Jesus said he looked out over Jerusalem and he wept because they knew not their time of visitation. And I really believe that this is a season for visitation in Europe. And based upon what has happened over the last three days that I have been ministering, it has been certainly confirmed.
That reminds me, when I first met you, well, it must be 18 months ago.
Yes.
Maybe even 2 years. Time flies.
Yes, it does.
That you actually got to put on your heart to come to Europe.
Yes.
Now, when you look at it from an earthly point of view, or even a financial point of view, coming to Europe is not really financially beneficial.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
So look at it in that context. I think it's amazing that someone of your stature should come to, with all due respect, come to Europe, come to England, little old England, where really the pennies flow, not the pounds and not the thousands. Now, for you to come to the UK, it touched my heart when I heard you speak some 2 years ago. Was it in Manchester?
Manchester.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's what we need at this time, is people to come here with the right motive.
Right. Because
we're a hard territory.
Right.
The United Kingdom, I left to go to live in America because it was hard territory here.
Wow.
Okay?
Oh.
Now, the Lord had me come back, and that's fine. But I would say I'd take my hats off, if I had any, to say thank you for coming to the UK, because it isn't beneficial in the natural. That's what I'm saying.
Well,
so for spiritual reasons, brilliant. Thank you.
But I think, Howard, when you really look at the fact that you're called to a place, what is beneficial? What is beneficial is when you know that there is receptiveness there, because there is a divine word. And I will say this. A lot of times when you see people making statements in ministry, and I've heard this before, like I heard before I went to Manchester. They said, pastor friends of mine said, you're going to Manchester, and why are you going to Manchester? And it's just so hard. The people just so hard. I didn't find that when I got there. And I think one of the reasons why is because it is the Spirit of the Lord that liberates. And I think when you come from a business aspect, or when you come from a promotional aspect, or you coming from an aspect of making yourself bigger or exposing yourself, and the goal is not liberating the hearts and the minds of the people so that they can become kingdom-minded and not religious-minded, then it is going to be hard. It's almost like beating up against a brick wall. But I believe that the deep calleth to the deep. And I believe that when an individual is a person that lives a life of prayer and they fast and they consecrate, when they stand before the people of God, and mind you, the people of God are doing the same thing, because the position that they're now in, they're understanding that they need God a little bit greater than they did maybe 3 years ago when the economy is different. So because they're in tune to the voice of God and the Spirit of God, they know the Spirit when they hear it. And so from the time I've hit the grounds, in the last 3 meetings that I've preached, I haven't felt any resistance. I haven't felt any of that, well, we don't know if we're going to believe God or not. I just see the hunger and the thirst, and it was like, a marriage coming together for me.
This is the territory that separates the boys from the men.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay?
Yes.
And all the girls from the little ones, or the ladies. I would say that the greatest challenge for any ministry to come here and be effective is the fact that they are fighting against the financial side. Because let's face it, within Christian television or ministries, the finances does play a big part. But I've seen God move in the miraculous as far as that's concerned, because we as a station, for example, have actually seen that in reality, that we have the smallest budget, and yet we have, with all due respect to others, the most effective ministry to the people, for whatever reason. But I think the people are not stupid when they watch the Christian television.
Right.
Okay? They're a very discerning audience. The English, the Brits, the Scots, the Welsh, the Irish are not the same as they are, with all due respect, those that are a little bit more gullible, perhaps, in the United States. Okay?
Absolutely.
So they tell the phonies from the real ones. So the challenge is, can you cut it here? You can cut it here, you can cut it anywhere.
Yeah.
Let me tell you.
Yeah.
That's why I ran a mile.
And in looking at that, I believe that the Lord will supply. Just like last night, I was ministering at Pastor Shadrach's church, and I went to collect the offering. And while I was collecting the offering, the Spirit of the Lord just said, don't take any money from here. Leave all the offering here. But by the same token, when you come with the right spirit, you only receive what God wants you to have. I came over here to minister, and miraculously, there was a lady that had been following my ministry for some time now, and she's from Nigeria. And she came here and said, before I leave here, the Lord has led me to give you something. And, out of the clear blue, this was her gift to me, was, I think it was 10,000 pounds. Now, I didn't ask for that.
God. That's
what I'm saying.
Right.
I didn't ask for that.
Brilliant.
I answered a call of God to come.
Yeah.
And when she heard that I was coming, she brought it. So when you moving in the Spirit of God, He shall supply all of your needs according to His riches and glory. You don't have to beg. Even when I'm standing on the floor and I feel, and I have to be led of God to feel the ministry of giving. And when I feel it, it's not about, begging people. It's about asking people for what God is asking for, and if nobody moves, I'm not offended, because I know where my source comes from. And I think it's just an awesome thing when you get the right kind of mindset about ministry, and you get a country that's ready for ministry. I think you have a winner.
Yeah. Now, you won. You became an overcomer. How can I, who little man that I am, speak to the prophetess and say to the prophetess, you became